In a party with Westerners, when you go to like a party, okay, a group of people, friends of a friend, friends are always talking in pockets, two or three. In an Asian party, what do we want to do, guys? Where do we want to go? Everyone's looking at each other. No one wants to stand out and be a leader, right? But in a Western party, you're just talking with people you want to talk to. You see, churches, the cultural dynamics that you see in a party, even at the dinner table. What shape is our dinner table? Chinese restaurants. Do you see what I'm trying to say? And what do we do with the food? Do we have our own individual dish? No, we share. Don't you see? All of these things that we assume and take for granted are actually at play within a Chinese church. Another way of putting it is a Chinese church is a blown up version of the Chinese family, an expanded version. Another way of putting it is that the challenges and opportunities of a Chinese Canadian immigrant family, parents and children and grandchildren, are the very similar dynamics in a Chinese Canadian church. It's very similar. So in other words, with the cultural gap, what I've come to appreciate when I talk with older uncles and aunties is I always try to pick their brain. One of the questions I ask, I want to learn and see what was church like when you were raising kids when we were young, right? And I learned a lot of interesting things, like how committed they were to fellowship. They would bring their babies to fellowship. Is the same? Yes, nodding as well. Uncle Jimmy is nodding, right? Same thing. But then in our day, your church is great. I think your family group is great. But I met other Chinese churches, quite a few actually, because in the fall I spoke at like 8 different churches, right, including yours, by the way, last year in the fall. But I'm like, wow, like the families are just not involved in fellowship, which is like a huge gap from their parents' generation that just always brought their kids to fellowship and prioritized it. And I'm like, I can learn from that. We can learn from that. Do you know what I mean? Like, so these are the things. So the gap is not as wide as you think. And in fact, you will probably have a wider gap with someone that is your parents' age that's purely Canadian.